Hey guys, Forsaken Reality here for part 2 of our Magic Combat System tutorial. In the last one we set up our Locomotion animations and we created our combat components and now we'll begin setting things up for our combat system. So we're going to want to open up our combat component, and in the last video we set up two Boolean values, attack ready and weapon equipped. I'm just going to create those first. And now we want to hop over to our animation blueprint. And here we'll just add another one of these triangles. And right here, this is set. This we're going to drag out of our character, get component by class, and this will be our combat component. And combat component reference. And we also want to get our combat reference. Get, and we'll right click that and convert to get. So if our combat component is valid, we don't need to set it. But if it isn't valid, come down here and set our combat component. And this runs on tick, so it'll run through here, set it valid, and we can continue on. Now that we have our combat component, we want to here weapon equipped, get our value from our combat component. Whatever that gets set to, it'll be set in here. And the same thing with attack ready. And we want to set these two values. And all those values are being set from our combat components, and whenever we set those up to be triggered true and false. For example, if we're aiming or equipping a weapon, it'll be now sent to the animation blueprint and used there. And now we want to go back to our combat component. And the first one we're going to set up is aiming. Right click, create a custom event. Call that aim. And if our weapon is equipped, we want to create a Boolean aim. So when we call this event in our character, we can toggle this value true or false. So if we're we'll just toggle it to true, and it'll mean we're aiming, and then when we release the button or press it again, however you want to set it up, it will set it to false. And then we'll just here or create a branch, hold B and click. So we are weapon equipped, are aiming. We'll just create another Boolean here called aiming. So will be set true and false if we're aiming. We can check this value to determine if we're aiming or not. some things in the future if we need to. And we also want to get our character movement, so we just to that. So we'll go begin play. And we'll get owner of the component. Pass to character. This will get any character reference this component's attached to. So like this is a child of the character class, for example, a third person character. Any character that you create would be also a child of it. We'll just do a character. That'll be our character reference. And we'll get our movement, character movement. And promote that to a variable. That'll be our character movement reference. And we also want a reference to our mesh. And there's our mesh ref. And there's begin. Now that we have this done, we want to drag out of character movement. And we will set orient rotation to movement. We are aiming to false. And from character ref, use controller yaw rotation. We'll set that true. We are aiming. And we'll just copy these two nodes and paste them down here and flip them. So this will be true on not aiming and false on aiming. And we'll go back into our third person character. And if you don't want to have it so you always rotating with the camera, then you would toggle that off. And also we want to add our component to our character. Just notice that in the game there was no movement, and that's because we're getting stuck right here and it's not valid. And want to come in here, combat component. You can just name it magic combat component if you wanted to, rename it or whatever, it doesn't really matter. And that'll movement. And say you didn't want to have the rotations set up like this. This is what we're setting up here in the aiming, so this will allow you to switch between them if you wanted to stay in this rotation mode all the time, then you would disconnect. You wouldn't need this. You can just disconnect that. Otherwise, connect it. And here you want to search for yaw rotation. Disable that by default. In our character movement, scroll down to the rotation. Sometimes it's collapse makes it harder to see int by default. That'll set us back to the default setup. And we have our aiming set up. Third person character, event graph. And our left mouse button. Get aim from our combat component. If it's pressed, true, then paste it below, released, false. again because we don't have our weapon. Test it out without a weapon. Now I'm just going to do that for a moment. And something else I did, I meant to go right mouse button, not left. Now when I test this out, I click in this mode, so now animations, when I let go, it will normal running mode. I can aim in my direction way wherever I want. Sort of how like it would be done in like Hogwarts Legacy games like that aiming. Now we'll work our equipping. Before we do that, we'll a blueprint and items. So create a folder. Blueprint class. A master weapon. And add a static mesh. We'll just search for wand, alt, and if you have other weapons you want, you can just filter into this, change the weapon mesh. For now, purpose of this, we only have the one wand, so we'll just use the master weapon. Here we want to go into our component. Create a custom event. And this will be toggle weapon. We're going to create a new variable animation playing. So when a montage is playing, you won't be able to spam through them. It'll also be used in the combat system, so you can't spam through your combat animations. Set delays up however short or long as you want them using notifies. It'll also show you how to set up. Here we want to check if an animation is playing, so if we're attacking or we're already equipping or unequipped weapon. Trigger this again. Hold B and click to create a branch. And if we're not playing an animation, click another. And check if our weapon's equipped. And we'll create two custom events. Equip. When we equip, when we unequip, one. We won't need this unequip event, but we'll use this equip one. And what should equip? And from here we want to get our also create weapon equipped. And on notify begin, set this true or false if we're equipping or unequipping the weapon. And also on blend out, set animation false. Now I want to go into our wand animations, whip, montages, and we should have this notify here and this unequipped notify here. So now when we equip those notifies, will trigger this. And then we'll create a branch, checking if our weapon is true. Before we do this, we're actually going to want to attach the weapon to the hip, so we'll quickly just do. So we're going to come up to begin play and spawn actor from class, spawn master weapon, and spawn. For now, is spawning it in. Always spawn in case it's spawn the weapon. And then we'll promote this. This will be our weapon reference. And here we attach actor to component, attaching this mesh component, socket, we're in it. Make sure you spell it correctly. Tap target, rotation and location, file, location's all off. Go into our mannequin. And our hip socket. Preview mesh and add our one. And put that wherever you want. Now we on attaching your hand. Have a weapon reference. I want to come. We were setting up our equip. Our weapon is equipped. Attach actor to Let's attach actor to component. Dash. True. If it's true, then one bucket. Hide bone. And false. Hip socket. We're also going to station and station. Equipment on it. Now we come. If our op is not equipped, we want to toggle equipment. And it is toggle the. And now we'll set up this montage the place when we clear this. Just select node first. From here, we also will drag out a from here. I'm going to make a change back right. And so should equip false me. Check if our have attack ready, so our wand is up or just fully idle. Attack unequip ready. False. Will just be equip. Only one equip animation. Clean that up how you would like. Play again. Terminate for equipping or weapon equipped false. Patches the and want to come into character. And I'm just going to use keyboard E. Equip. Other weapon. animation. Pretty sure they're set by default to upper body slot. In the last video, we set up some locomotion for our lower body blend, which allows us to do things like this without sliding across the floor. We'll play the lower body animation while it plays the upper body. And now we'll set up the attack ready timer, which will allow us to determine how long your arm stays up after attacking or aiming before going down in the fully idle state. So if we're going to create 2 custom events in our combat component. Start end attack ready timer. And another custom event set attack ready false. And ready. We'll set that to false. Set timer by function name. Name set attack ready false. And that will not change. And here's where we can determine how long our arm will stay up before it goes down. We'll promote that to a variable. Attack ready timer. However long value is set for, I'm just going to set it for 3. After 3 seconds, it'll drop down basically. Now we have that done. We can come up to our aiming. And if we are aiming, set this value to true. And we aren't aiming, start the end attack timer. About 3 seconds, go down basically. Up a bit. All in the begin play event. There's the attack ready timer. And then after a few seconds, the arm will. And if you want to adjust how fast the arm will go up and down, you can come into your locomotion and adjust this duration. Will change how fast it goes up, and this will determine how fast it goes down. If I change that to 0.5, goes down, it'll go down a little bit better like that. And for aiming, now we want to connect if our weapon's equipped. Now we won't aim unless we equip our weapon. And the wand will go down over time. I'm also going to fix up redirectors to make sure everything is good. And now finally we get into combat. We'll also set up a projectile that will shoot out stuff. So the first thing we're going to create a few data folder, create a new blueprint class, which are primary data asset. Like that. This will be spell data. And in the blueprints folder, we'll create a actor. Open up that, search for projectile movement. It's at 4,000 speed. I'm gonna add a mesh. Visible. And you can use multiple different kinds of effects. You know, the Niagara system, particle effect. I'm going to be using the cascade particle system because it's easier to deal with for now. Match the static mesh. Just going to resize this a little bit to 0.6. A spell created. I'm going to create some default values we could potentially use for things. Values now. And projectile visual effects. And if you wanted to use Niagara visual effects, you could just set this to a Niagara visual effects instead. Projectile class, and this will be master projectile and class reference. And you can also set the other things, projectile speed here. And then we're going to need our spell animations. It's going to be montage type. And we're going to set this to, we have multiple spell. You can also do other things like max attack distance. Each spell could have their own attack distance. I'm going to make sure to set this back to us. All damage, other things here. Now these are good enough for what we need. We're gonna need a couple notes. These are M note. Eight. We are playing animation notify state. This will determine if we're currently playing an animation, and we'll be able to determine when we begin it and how long. I'll show you how exactly that works in the animation moment. Here we want to begin, owner, get component, class. I also want this to always tick true. Notify as received. And animation. I'm gonna actually put our combat component in here. And we'll set animation playing. True. So when this notify begins, we will be setting true and ticks there. And we can also go into our begin, just copy this and paste it, connect a mesh component, and false. So when the notify ends, it will trigger false. So how we would use this is we want to come into our animations, cell casting, and let's go over our basic attack montages, and we'll delete that. Add a notify state, playing animation notify state, which is the one we just created. Right here, and it'll trigger that we are playing the animation. And for as long as we want this, so right here, so like say right here, I'll say we stopped. And at any point after this, we can trigger a new animation. At any point this is playing, we won't be able to. As long as we have to check for animation playing, which we will be putting in. And we'll do that now. Come over here, magic component, a new custom event, attack. Name this attack. And first thing we'll do is check if our animation is playing. So if we attack and it's playing, we will continue through and play an animation. But if it's true, which it would be, as long as it's scrolling through this state, it wouldn't be able to continue back till right here. And you could drag this out to make the animations blend from whichever point you're on, so you have them blend attack fast, or wait till it closer to the end, attack slower. You can play with that. We'll also want this in all of our animations. You can kind of like determine where exactly you want that. The final one lasts a little longer, so there's a bit of a delay before you can start attacking again. somewhere. Is that set up? Now we will check if our weapon is equipped. Not currently playing an animation like a or another attack animation. And we do have a weapon set attack ready. The way we're going to do this is we're going to need a combo count value in this here. And we'll see another variable cell data, the PDA cell data, which is the primary data asset. And we can go to here, and I'm just going to come into here, and I think it's create a data asset. Create a data asset using our PDA cell data. Select data asset. Our basic spell. And see, now we can set all our data. Different things we need. Visual effects. Actually, this one's basic. Our projectile class, like projectile. And back animation for the put in our combo animations. All we need to do here for now. This open. All that in. Now we want to go back into our combat component. Get our current spell data. Get our spell animations. And then we'll get spell animation. What we want is one that's for our combo count. So each time we attack, we'll increment this number until it reaches the maximum number, and then that will receive. So now we'll set up setting our combo count. So after our spell is triggered, get our combo count to spell animations length. Let's look at the length of the array, which will be 4. So our combo count is equal to 4. We reset our combo count to 0. That's the back to the first animation in the array. And if it's not 0, get our combo count 1 to that. And we set the combo count to the new, so every time we attack, we'll go 0, starting at 0, go to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then once it hits 4, it'll set. We'll get Each time it goes up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll get a different animation out of the array. And after the animation, want to blend out animation. Comment there. We get our mesh. Play. This will be to transition us back to correct footing position. And we will start triggering the attack ready timer. So after we attack, this is set through, and once one of the montages is finished and we go back transitioning, we'll start. Your character will be standing there with his hand up, and for however long we have a set on this value right here, we'll hold the hand up and until it goes back down, basically to fully idle. Combat systems up. Form an attack and go back into our third person character. And we got our left mouse button. And trigger attack. And attack with nothing. When I come in, current spell data and I set spell data for attack. Our weapon. I click as fast as I can. Let me fully spam through the animation to quickly show you playing one of the animations a little bit, make it a little slower. First animation takes a while before the second one will trigger off. Depends on how long you want the delay to be. Now we can look into setting up the projectile. First, I'm just going to create an event here, custom event on magic projectile. We're going to get our mesh, socket location. I'm just going to use hand under R for then I'm going to create a new function. spawn projectile. Drag out spawn actor from class. And we're going to get our current spell data. Projectile class. On whatever projectile you set in that for your data asset. Always spawn, ignore collisions. And we're going to split this spawn transform. And we're going to put an input for projectile location. Will be our start location. And connect spawn transform. And our transform is going to be our character ref. Hit actor forward vector. And location from X vector. Now we compile that. Promote this to a variable so we have a reference to our projectile that's being shot. Get particle system. Valid. Is valid. Get our current spell data. Projectile. Visual effects. And for particle system, set template. And our template will be the particle that set will be the one for our spell data from our data set. That will all now spawning projectile. We can come back to our event graph. Here like this. And you could also just have this in here connected like this. Have a that's the, use this as our spawn magic projectile. Do everything within the function. That's done. Now we need to notify because we can't just trigger it instantly. Because if we were to do that, it wouldn't work right. There's a certain point when the wand snaps that you want to actually trigger the animation. So to do that, we'll want to use a notify. Go to our notifies, blueprint class, and this one's not going to be going to be the notify. And notify and will be called spawn projectile notify. And here we just need to received notify, make sure it's triggered so it's actually received. Get the owner, compile component by class, magic component for combat component, and when this notify is triggered, it will spawn a projectile. And the function that it runs is this one right here in our combat component. And to trigger that, we want to come into our spell animations. And I'm just going to create another notify track. I'm going to add a notify here. And it's going to be our spawn projectile. We can just copy this notify, open up our other animations. And control. That's not, oh, I see. Add a new track. Paste that. And you can adjust these similar to the states wherever you think it looks best. Figure these at these. Here somewhere. And now when we play, equip our weapon. Very shaders. Vision. I can fix that. Meshed. Leave that. Okay. Maybe we'll come into our character. Boom. Bring that a bit. Originally had mine attached to the head. If you wanted to do that, you put it on the mesh. Camera move. Put the head. Down here and relax to prevent it from bouncing. Enable more or less lag to have it bounce more or less. And I believe I just actually projectile. Want to go blueprint, master projectile. That no collision. There we go. Yeah, that was the character will stand there. Can't attack no more. So that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment or like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to join our Discord. Thanks, and I'll see you all next one.